네, 안녕하세요 여러분. 유진온뮤직의 최유진입니다. 오늘은 지난번 세션에 이어서 Eon Friends의 두 번째 인터뷰 세션입니다. 지난번에 모셨던 피아니스트 일리아 라시콥스키님께서는 가장 존경하고 또 좋아하는 친구로 또 아티스트로서 피아니스트 피터 오브차로프 교수님을 추천하셨습니다. 너무나 영광스럽게도 오늘 이 자리에 피터 선생님을 모실 수 있게 되었습니다. 이제 선생님과 함께 얘기를 나눠보겠습니다. Hi, Peter.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a real honor and pleasure to have you here. I was really very glad when Ilya told us to contact you as his first recommendation, because I've already known your name for many years, but I didn't have the guts to approach you. So he made actually a good excuse to reach out to you. Just because Ilya mentioned specifically about your intellect and then the way you phrase things very eloquently. What is your thoughts about musical intellect and how do you convey your thoughts into music?
Well, when we take our job as a musician, or when we think, let's say, what job is the most difficult job in the world, people would say probably maybe a Boeing pilot or Airbus pilot. Look how many handles he has, how many switches and buttons, and it looks crazy, right? But actually, I think being a pianist is one of the most difficult jobs in the world ever. Why? Because a Boeing pilot is excusable if a Boeing pilot doesn't know anything about painting or literature. It still allows him to fly his airplane very well. In case of musician, you must have all pieces of a puzzle. So, and I see that it's very sad sometimes when you see that particular young musician has so many qualities, a great technique, and very intelligent, and loves music, but something is missing. Sometimes it can be a technical skill that's missing, but well, that's we can train, right? Sometimes it can be just this person has not enough energy. This is one of the worst situations on stage when the person plays very beautifully, but there's not enough energy going over to the audience, right? To become a very good musician, famous, successful musician, one must have all pieces of a puzzle. This is very rare. This is maybe one of a million has it. That's why I'm pretty sure that our job is the most difficult in the world. Besides playing piano well and having good technique and understand the music, a pianist must know about painting, literature, history, psychology, anatomy, how my hand works, how my body works, about so many things besides that. And I think if you have it, then it's great, and this is what I call musical intelligence. This is what we all try to achieve.
Your explanation actually reminds me of the novel by Hesse, The Glockenspiel. That novel truly explains why music has to be on the top of the pyramid.
Say it very extremely, I would say a musician must know what kind of button people in the time of Bach were wearing on their clothes. It will help you to understand the music. Yeah.
But also the sad thing is, for example, when your student is trying to play Dante Sonata, Liszt Dante, he reads all the purgatory and entire literature. But even if he reads all the literature, but if his fingers, then that's also another sad story.
But I had a situation when a student, I think it was a kind of public masterclass, a student came to my lesson and he played some, I think, German piece, and it was quite not good in some way, and it sounded a little bit strange. And of course it was kind of program music with a German title. And my first question to the student was, can you tell me please how many months you already practicing that piece? 3 months? And I said, okay, but you know the title of this music, what this music about? You didn't bother for 3 months, you didn't bother to go to Google Translate and translate that one single word. And it was so obvious because it was, let's say, some sad music, and he played it so happy. This is, I think, inexcusable. What I always tell to students first, before you approach the piece, before you even touch the piano and open your piano, take the score and translate everything written in it every single word, if it's in Italian or German, and this is where the work starts for you. Right?
Yes. That actually leads to my next question. Eon invited you for our own competition, Eon's national competition and also Eon's international piano competition. And not only judging in Eon's competition, but I know that you're judging many other international competitions. So when you're sitting there judging students' performance, what is your first criteria?
A few months ago, I was invited to Vienna University of Music to teach there for 2 weeks at the summer school. And I was on the jury board for some concerto audition. And being there, I got a thought. There were like 6 or 7 candidates. They all played very well. And when we made a decision, of course there was discussion, there was heated discussion between the jury members. Then I thought it would be maybe great for students to have opportunity to judge each other. Because then they will understand how it works. 18, 19 years old, I was a student of Mozarteum University in Salzburg. I went to many competitions. And then you are always so angry because you think jury members are your enemies. Mm-hmm. They want to do something against you. They judge you unfairly. They have something against you. They hate you. And then when I started to serve at the competition judge myself, I understood that things are not that easy because there are always so many criteria involved, and something that you think as a musician, as a young musician, which is very important for a judge is not that important, but other criteria are extremely important that you can't even imagine. So I think it would be great to implement it in music universities, right? That the students are judging each other. I think they would learn and also understand how to prepare for competitions better, right? And on the other side, also to understand better how it works. Besides that, competitions have some problem in general, and that's a problem of the average score. It means that we have, let's say, for example, 8 judges, and we have a great pianist, fantastic, very talented, with great charisma. And of course, for such people, it always works like that. One jury member says, wow, he or she is the best musician I ever heard, and gives him 10 out of 10. Then another jury member, very honestly, also without any, corruption or whatever, just say, I hate that. It's not the Beethoven it must be. I see Beethoven should be played like that, right? And then gives a 0 point, 0 score. And then we have the problem that this great talented pianist doesn't pass to the next stage. But another pianist who plays, he never makes anybody angry. Right. He plays very nicely in the middle somewhere, and he gets 8 points from every judge, passes into the next round, and maybe even wins the first prize. This is a little bit a problem of the competitions that might happen. Why I'm saying that? Because I want to say to musicians who go to competition, they work very hard, they practice very hard, and they don't win a prize. Or they win the prize they think they didn't deserve. They thought they were able to get the gold medal, but they got, 5th place or 3rd place. Please don't be sad. Please don't be sad. It doesn't mean that you are bad. It means maybe you are too talented, and you have too bright charisma, which is great for the stage, but might be not that great for the competition. Be patient. Sooner or later, it will happen. You will win your first prize. Or there are also cases of musicians who made a career completely without attending competitions. It's rare, but it happens. So have to try this and that, and a real talent always will find the way through.
This is a very good news for us. You have a solo recital coming up right here on this stage. That will be on the 6th of December. What would you play on that day? Have you decided the program yet?
Partly. I would play some virtuoso stuff. In your life, you go through certain stages. So in my case, it was always the virtuoso stage when I was very young. Then you want to play all the Liszt sonatas, Rachmaninoff sonatas, and Hungarian rhapsodies of Liszt. Then you get into the stage, and it was after I studied in Mozarteum, and I was studying with a famous German teacher, Professor Karl-Heinz Kämmerling, who was an intellectual and German school at its best. And of course, he was the guy who would say, Peter, you will never play Opus 111 of Beethoven, the last sonata. unless you're 30 years old. I will never allow you to play this piece. So then, of course, I wanted to achieve that, and I started to play very serious music. And then it was a moment in my life when I noticed that I don't have even one virtuoso piece in my repertoire. I played only, it was everything so serious. So I said maybe I shouldn't be so strict with my repertoire, and end of December in Busan Concert Hall, I was performing a shared solo duo recital with a Korean violinist Han Soo-jin. So parts of this program I will use also for this concert hall.
Great.
And there will be Horowitz, Bizet-Horowitz, Carving variations, and there will be some transcriptions of course, Chrysler, Rachmaninoff. But maybe we'll add some more serious piece just to make it.
I'm looking forward to it. Related to my previous question, when you perform on stage, you do feel differently. But how do you feel different as you teach or as you perform?
Well, there are two completely different directions, right?
Yes, I know.
On stage, you always feel differently. Why? Because it's kind of being in different dimension. When you're on stage, of course, you're being like in a different, on the different planet or a different dimension. The time goes differently for you, right? So it's absolutely different time feeling. Sometimes you think you were playing very slow, then you look at the video and think, oh my God, that was so fast. It's very, very different, and you're like being in a parallel universe, right?
When there's absolutely no sound, really, there is not a single sound. I mean, on those moments, of course, I feel that everybody's so concentrated.
Absolute silence, right?
Yeah, absolute silence. Yeah. That moment, I feel.
But absolute silence is the best.
Yeah. Of course, that's magical.
It's magical.
Yes.
You put them in a kind of meditation.
Yes.
The greatest moment for a musician. If you achieve it, you're the happiest person of the
Yes, when that happens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's really magical.
What about teaching? It has, on one side, something very common, because when I teach, I practice. It's a kind of practicing. You learn a lot from your students.
Yes.
Not only they are learning from you, but you learn a lot from them. And you discover the music, and you see the music, let's say, from a completely different angle, as if you would be the performer, right? And sometimes you find things that you will never find when you're just performing this music. And besides that, you must be talented for teaching. If you don't have a talent for teaching, in Europe, for example, in Austria, every music university has a performance department and pedagogy department. Yeah. For me, it's always a little bit strange, because they'll teach you, there's all, how it's called in German, it's called didactic, I don't know, the method how to teach, right? How to teach properly, pedagogy. I don't think it's possible to teach. I don't think it's possible, because either you have it or not. Either you love teaching and it's yours, or not.
I secretly agree.
You must be born for that, I think.
Looking at the recent competition trends, the young musician's skills seems to be leveling up. In your view, what is the impact for today's competitions on performers, including the negative and positive impacts, and which advice would you like to give them?
We have so many young kids who play the programs that would be impossible even for 30 years old. Before now, small kids are playing that. Actually, I'm not very happy about that, because I think a certain level goes up, but certain level goes also down. This is also how many modern competitions. There are many young talented kids, but the difference between their performance is tiny. I love to study old recordings, mostly people who were born at the time when there was no sound recording. The way they play is fantastic. It's so interesting what they do, because they didn't have the recording of others. All they could do is to travel to other city. If they lived in a small town, then when will you hear other performance? Maybe once a year, maybe twice a year. If you want to hear other performance more often, you have to go to other city to travel. But they couldn't just go to YouTube and hear 20 recordings of Chopin Ballade at once, right? And I think it's very good. My main advice for people who go to competition is, please be yourself. Don't copy others. Don't watch videos of past winners of this competition. This is a very, from my opinion, very bad way. You have to be yourself and look more to the score, because there are so many things. Please look at the score with a completely fresh feeling, like you didn't hear anything. It's like you first time see the score, try to understand what composer wants to say without hearing any recording.
Right.
You can hear them after, right? But not before. And then don't be afraid that some jury member will hate you for not doing that redundant. Don't be afraid. So it means if you love music, if you're very convinced about what you're doing, you will definitely achieve something. So competition important. Go there, try, give your best, right? But also be yourself. Don't copy others. Don't try to be like they want to hear. No. You should be yourself.
In terms of repertoire, is there any specific pieces that you would like to avoid?
Most important, I would say, in Korea it's very common that teachers give too difficult pieces to their students. It's a huge problem, and like I already said before, some great teachers just say, this piece you won't play before you're 28 or 30, because your mind said, and you're just not mature enough. You must have some life experience before. So take a program which is not too difficult. You should play pieces which you can play fantastic. Not taking very difficult repertoire and play it clumsy way and very shallow, right? Take lighter pieces, but play them fantastic. You'll always win with that. This is the first thing, and maybe some secret advice is, when you choose, for example, some Beethoven sonatas, refrain from very famous ones. I mean, they're all famous, but don't take up a sonata, don't play Waldsteiner. It's a very dangerous path because it's such famous pieces. Every judge has his own opinion and says, a sonata must be played like this. Yes. And then, of course, if you play it a little bit different, then it's a problem for you.
What is more important is not what to play, but how to play, right?
Of course.
Yes, I also agree. Peter, you studied in Russia and at the Mozart University in Salzburg. So, what was the biggest difference between the Russian and the Western European system?
Okay, that's a very big topic. It was exactly like that. When I was studying in Russia, I had a fantastic teacher. Her name was Lyubov Rudova. She died, unfortunately. We all remember her with greatest memories. She was a fantastic teacher. But I felt, I came to Germany to play concerts when I was a kid, many times. And then I always felt when I played something, Rachmaninoff, Tchaikovsky, Chopin, I felt very comfortable. But when I played Mozart and Beethoven, it was an uneasy feeling because I didn't know exactly what to do. Even my teacher said me, but it was somehow, I felt it's not very convincing. And then I also heard from German people saying, yeah, that was good, but your Beethoven. Then I understood that something is missing, something that I must learn, not in Russia. Then I participated in a masterclass of Professor Kemanin, and it was very lengthy and very painful process of changing my mind from the Russian school to German school. It was really painful. I will tell you a funny story. It was the Salzburg Summer Academy. I participated there as a student, but we had kind of, let's say, daily performance. Every evening, Professor Kemanin collected his students, and everybody had to play something. There were a lot of, the class was huge, 40, 50 people. And people performed fantastic pieces, some Liszt, some Rachmaninoff, some this and that. And I had to always perform the slow movement from the Beethoven Sonata Opus 2, number 2. I did it first time, second time, because it was a long masterclass, it was like 2 or 3 weeks. And every evening the same piece. He said me to play. And every time he said, no, it's not quite good yet. Please change this and that and play it again. And I did it like maybe 10 days in a row. I was upset. Then it was 11th day, and Professor Kemanin again said, Peter, you play slow movement from Beethoven Sonata. I remember I went to the piano, then something happened in my head. I was so angry. I just closed the piano violently, ran out of the concert hall, and slammed with the door.
How old were you?
Maybe 19, maybe. Then I came home and I said, oh my God, you kick me out of the class, right? For that performance. Next lesson, trembling, and I came to the lesson next day. very afraid of what he will be saying. So, hello, Professor Cameron. So, hello, Peter. So, please open the second movement of the day. So, and then I accepted my fate, and then I played it that evening. And finally, something happened. I understand this music now. And after that, I had never problem to play Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven. So it was a painful process, at least like giving a birth, But once it happened, I understood that I became a musician who understands Western European music. Then I went to a Beethoven competition in Vienna and played there, all Beethoven program. And I felt very comfortable there too. And then it happened, So it's very different. Now the question, what's different between Russian school and German school, and what was important to understand besides things how you play, ornamentations, or which note is heavy, which is light, and so on. It was maybe the understanding, we Russians, we are very emotional people. We try always to go very deeply if we study something, right? And we always think that if we play some music, this music written by some genius composer, it's always genius music. We think if it's written by Mozart, it must be something very great and very deep, something crazy suffering or joy. Yeah? Once you give up that feeling of being an artist, you suddenly see that it becomes real art. It's a magic.
I have a question about the auditions for Western European schools. So auditions for the top European schools are extremely competitive, and when one is preparing for these auditions for entrance exam, what is the decisive factor for you for choosing your prospective student? And what are the pitfalls to avoid when selecting audition repertoire?
Very simply and very honestly, I can say the situation is like this. There are a lot of pianists from South Korea right now. In Germany, when you go, some German schools, they are basically Korean now.
Yeah, I know.
The quantities of how many Korean students go there. So this is now a little bit on decline because, European schools, of course, they also want to support Europeans. And when before it was just enough to go for a Korean student to go to Europe and play brilliantly and pass, now it doesn't work that way anymore. And there were cases when very talented boys and girls, even from Yonsei University, they go to 6 different schools in Germany and fail. This is very common these days because this quota became smaller, and also the criteria how German, or let's say European professors, not only German, criteria are quite different. So very often I've seen Korean students playing with great energy, with great technical skills and musicality as well, but for example very clumsy phrasing, where they don't really think about which note is heavy, which note is light, or clumsy sound balance, right, or clumsy pedaling, or something like that. And this is absolute no-go in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, right? And sometimes students are very surprised why I didn't pass, because here I was the first guy in my school. Why I didn't pass into this basically mid-level German university. That's why. So I would recommend, give advice, please be more careful, look more for details. There's something which is called intonation, phrasing, and of course, because it's mostly European music, it's based, because music is a language, right?
Yes.
It's based on European language. So for example, it's uncommon, except for French language, right, that the phrase ends with a heavy accent, for example. But many students do like that, right? They always play because we have here, right? So Korean language functions differently from German, for example. So you must consider that it doesn't mean that you have, it's great if you can speak German. You don't have to speak German perfectly, but at least understand how that language works. Because when Beethoven, for example, or Mozart composed the melody, he was thinking in German. You can, for example, take some text and put it over the notes, and then you understand how it works. So pay attention to details, I would advise, and don't play clumsy. Just like, here's a little bit wrong, but in general it's fine. So I'll just go, try and fail, of course. So you must be very refined and polish every detail, which.
This might be an interesting one. Having guided and evaluated numerous performers, What do you believe is the most essential and purest reason or fundamental value that all students pursuing music must never forget? The value that made them start music in the first place?
Well, first of all, when I'm judging a competition or entrance exam or just an exam, the first and most important is it shouldn't be boring. So if somebody plays boring, even everything is right, there are no mistakes, for me it has absolutely no value. Absolutely, it's over. Because if you don't have a message for your audience, then you shouldn't go on stage. They can be shy people. For example, Ilya Ashkovsky, in his private life, he's a shy person, right? But when he goes on stage, he's a different person. He has that charisma. He even looks different, right? Compared with the normal life. So, but there are some people who are just shy, and when they go on stage, they're shy too. That doesn't work. So they must understand this is all about being extrovert.
Yeah.
At least on stage you must be, right? This is the first. The second, also most important, is love to music. You can fake everything. You can fake musicality, you can fake everything. If you have a good teacher, he will say you play like this, play like that, it sounds musical, right? But you cannot fake absence of love to music that we feel right away. And I would just say, if you don't love music, just don't become a lawyer, become a doctor, whatever. It only makes sense, our profession is also, how to say, if you want to make a big money or something, don't do music. But if you love music, just do it.
So today has been such a valuable time for me and for Eon's viewers. Thanks to you, Professor O브차로프. It is now so clear that why Ilya has recommended you so highly and admired you for your artistry and your eloquency and your deep insight. So now this is my final request, and I would like to ask you, who would you recommend for our next guest for this interview series?
I would, use the corporative way of recommending two people from Yonsei University, both good friends of mine. The first is Professor Park Jong-hoon. He plays a lot of crossover. He composes very interesting transcriptions, but also a lot of own music. What I like at him that he goes absolutely his own way. He doesn't care what the people say. He doesn't care about anything, but he wants to go his own way, and I deeply respect that. I'm really always surprised at what he's able to do and achieve. And I think it will be highly interesting to hear his story. And the second guy whom I recommend, Professor Jong Do-an. He's intellectual, absolutely.
Yes.
And he's not just a regular pianist, let's say. He's interested in historical music. He plays different instruments. He plays harpsichord. He plays fortepiano. It's a very, very interesting conversation.
Thank you very much for spending your time with us today.
It was a pleasure.
Please don't forget, Professor O브차로프 will be playing here in this Eon Hall on the 6th of December, and the program will be announced later. Thank you very much for watching us today, and thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.